your weekly little get-together for gaming news. I am, as always, your host, Steven Brown, and joining me today is...
I'm David.
Tonight, David, we have that Sony State of Play I want to get into details about. A whole bunch of stuff was shown off there in 10 minutes. We have some more information about that David Eddings, Randy Pitchford tussle that they got into a week ago. We actually have some hard details coming out. And
Can't stop, won't stop.
like I said, it's nowhere near as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it's still bad. We also have some Lootbox legislation we need to get talking about because, of course, we did say this was going to fucking happen if they didn't dial back the reins on that. And some Ghost Recon stuff as well. But before we get into all that, I want everyone watching here at home or live at Twitch TV or on YouTube later to know that this is an audience interactive podcast. If you are watching us live, feel free to join in the conversation. That's kind of the whole point. In fact, that's kind of the GamePoints tagline, join the conversation. With questions, comments, concerns, whatever you want to talk about. Yeah, don't be dicks is the motto, but the tagline is join the conversation.
I get those confused all the time.
Yeah, industry business terms. I get it. I totally get it. So feel free to jump in any conversation we're having with your questions, what you want to add to the conversation. We might bring you up in the show, or we might have moved on. Either way, feel free to join the conversation. David.
Yes.
Did you do anything entertaining over the weekend?
I mean, not anything that's related to video games, but I mean, I rode a motorcycle.
Yeah, that's
racetrack.
How was that? You don't need to get into super details about it, but how was this motorcycling?
My motorcycling adventure was exhausting and very fun.
Fair enough.
And I'm upset that I'm not actively doing it basically all the time.
Got to get more onto that. All right, that's enough small talk. As I painfully see when I small talk, when I do things like this, it's because I don't have everything finished on my end yet, and I have to get a couple more things sorted out before we actually get into the news. So
that's why you ask me questions.
That's exactly why I asked you questions. Kind of pulling the curtain back a little bit.
See, I'm still playing Dragon's Dogma on Switch. That game's terrific.
So it's finished. I got what we need to take care of. And if I didn't say that,
in Rocket League.
No one would have noticed the difference. They just would assume that it was the same lame ass show it is every week. So now that now the behind the scenes shit on my end has finally been taken care of, let's go ahead and get into Sony's State of Play that happened last week. Now, if you don't know what their State of Play is, I kind of like
the PlayStation Direct.
Yeah, it's the Nintendo Direct for PlayStation. They're about 10 to 15 minutes long, very tightly controlled. Here's a bunch of information on some games coming out and of varying quality.
It's like the smartest way to reveal content to people.
Yeah, that's why they're not doing a conference this year at E3, if you ask me. They're testing these out to see how good they are. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw one around when E3 is going to hit. That's like an hour long. Wouldn't be surprised at all if that was the case. Because they don't want to cede that time to Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be stupid just to let Microsoft walk away with E3 with no competition.
Just talk the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a good idea.
No, you don't want to let your enemy, using that phrase, quote. No, they are their enemy. They are fighting each other for market share. So you don't want to let your enemy have that stage without any kind of challenge to it. It's a bad move. Not saying that Sony hasn't made bad moves, but that's just my opinion.
I'm just happy that I gotta laugh again at all the stupid, angry fanboy kids who raged at PlayStation when there was the old State of Play that was the VR one. And they're like, is this what we lost E3 for? This is all we get? A fucking VR video? Why do you hate all your fans?
Motherfucker, they told you what that was going to be about.
We gonna do it again. I'm just so happy.
And this actually did have some cool shit to it. Let's go ahead and start off with the first thing they showed, and that's the expansion/DLC to Monster Hunter World Iceborne.
Dude, I am upgrading my PC for that shit.
Are you?
It is going to be coming out on PS4 in September 6th to be specific, of this year. It is announced for a winter 2019 release for PC and etc. I'm still bummed that we have to wait for PC, but the Monster Hunter World PC release was so damn good, I don't mind giving them the extra time. It's not like a PC port that came out really shitty and horrible. It came out amazing and looked amazing, and my computer's not quite good enough to run it. Like, It looks better on my PS4 Pro, and that's upsetting.
I need to pick that game up for PC, by the way. I have it on PlayStation 4, but that's one of the reasons why I don't play it nearly as much as I should, because it is on the PlayStation 4, and that is disconnected from where I do all of my streaming at, so it's kind of a bitch for me to get PlayStation 4 up and running.
Well, for those who don't know, Monster Hunter is one of my favorite game franchises, just period. And World is like a return to form because it actually came out on a console, wasn't handheld, and I could play with friends that I haven't played video games with in years because everybody came out of the woodwork to play Monster Hunter.
Hell, I don't even do Monster Hunter, and I played that game. That game was by far the most accessible Monster Hunter game I've played yet.
Yep, and if you love Monster Hunter World, your best bet is to wait for the next expansion and not go backwards because the other games are not nearly as intuitive. They're not nearly as new user-friendly. There's a lot of weird shit that goes on in some of the other games, especially if you just jump back to Generations.
Right.
But it's all good.
And as the name Iceborne foretells, the new area is going to be a place called Hoarfrost Reach. It is covered in snow. It looked a kind of winter wonderlandy almost. Had a bunch of pine trees with frost on them.
It was pretty. The snow's super deep. You leave trails when you walk in it. It looks rad.
Yeah, I like the idea of it. It looked like weather might be kind of a big effect too. I could have sworn I saw the snowstorm blizzard kicking in and you're fighting things in that. So new monsters, new items. I really like that grappling claw that I saw on there. That looked really cool.
So that replaces your normal slinger, so you can grapple onto monsters as a quick attack. So it's not a full mount, just like a grab on, do some damage, and get away. They're making some gameplay adjustments. All weapons can use slingers while the weapon is out, which is an indirect nerf to Sword and Shield, which kind of sucks because Sword and Shield needs more love because it's already the lowest damage weapon in the game. And its whole niche is the fact that you can use items in the slinger while it's out. That's kind of a bummer. But they're doing all kinds of other changes to different weapons, new abilities, slinger shots in the middle of combos. And they showed off 4 new monsters. They showed off 3 new monsters and a returning fan favorite. So there's a giant ram creature.
That's the one I saw. It was like charging through trees and something.
Yep, it's another brute wyvern. There's basically, as I saw online, Snow Lavasioth, which, as an old school kid, no, sorry, you're wrong. It's a Snow Plesioth because Lavasoth is just Fire Plesioth.
And those are the shark ones, right? Like they dig in the dirt and they have like the
underground and pop out. And then Nargacuga is coming back. Now, that guy is one of the coolest guys, I think, from franchise history. He's a really fast, really aggressive monster that has, like, panther facial features. And if they stick to series tradition, all of his armor will make your character look like a ninja, so that's fun.
What's the bat thing that I saw?
That's Nargacuga.
Okay.
He's got, like, bat ears, but he's kind of panthery. He's got glowy eyes. He's very
big.
spooky.
He was fucking up a Rathalos in that trailer.
Yeah. He's an angry, spiky boy. And I think the best part is stuff I learned after the fact, because immediately, I'm kind of jumping around, but we're still on Monster Hunter, so it's fine. Immediately after the Sony State of Play, there was a Capcom conference. Like, they had their own stream that just dove deeper into Monster Hunter. So we learned about it here, and we learned more. But apparently, this expansion is not just a little chunk, like an extra little level, but apparently it's approaching the size of the Monster Hunter World release.
God damn.
So
That's huge.
It's not one little new zone and a couple monsters. No, there is a shit ton of stuff.
So is it like multiple zones?
I think it is like a snowy island. I'm not 100%, but the area is the biggest area yet in the game. So it could just be that it's one area, but it's flipping huge and there's a ton of shit to do in it.
Very cool. I do have to pick this up for PC one day. I put way more time into PlayStation 4 than I imagined I would on a goddamn Monster Hunter game, because this was always a franchise that I was very lukewarm on. It never really clicked for me, but something about World finally triggered off that response that I see people get when they play it, and I was like, okay, I get this now.
Quality of life made a huge difference.
Yes, that is a big, big thing, because the other Monster Hunters were needlessly obtuse.
Yeah, a little bit.
So that was definitely one of the bigger titles they showed off. And I mean, I don't know about you, but that trailer ran way too long for a 13-minute presentation. Did it feel like that to you?
No, I was excited about it.
Yeah, fair enough. It just felt like that trailer should have stopped multiple times, and then they would keep going on and on and on and on. Felt like I had multiple false starts. But anyways, When it finally did come to an end, they showed off another game called River Bond. It is a, quote, charming voxel shoot and slash coming later this year to summer, specifically to PlayStation 4. It is a dungeon crawler with couch co-op, which is actually kind of cool. And a lot of cameos from other games. You can get skins from Bastion, Guacamelee, Psychonauts, Shovel Knight, etc. So they're definitely hitting that indie crowd scene for this game. What was your thoughts on River Bond?
I don't know. It looks interesting, but I don't think it's interesting enough to get me to play it.
I think I'm in the same boat with the I don't know how I feel about it because it just didn't speak to me at all. I went,
like, if
okay.
I sat down somewhere and someone was playing it and they threw me a controller and it turned out to be fun, I wouldn't be mad at it. But to me, I don't think this is a direct comparison, but to me, it's like a Lego game. It looks solid. It looks like it's fun for the people it's fun for. The source material doesn't grab me, so I don't think I need to play it. But I'm sure it's
that
good.
art style to me is kind of overdone at this point.
There's been a lot of Minecraft alikes.
Yeah, as far as that look goes. So that was River Bond. I mean, we're kind of glancing over it, but there really wasn't much there. Next up, however, really did catch my eye. That's Predator Hunting Grounds. Now, this is from the same guys that made Friday the 13th. So it's an asymmetrical multiplayer like you would expect from them, where 4 people control Marines and 1 person plays the Predator. And that sounds like an amazing fucking game.
Hell yeah, it does. Dude, the best part of Alien vs. Predator 2 for PC was the PvP mode.
Yeah.
So, I'm down. Let's go.
I like this asymmetrical horror game kind of thing where, like, Friday the 13th did it. Dead by Daylight did it a hell of a lot better. No offense to the Friday the 13th guys.
Did it first. Friday the 13th was announced first. Dead by Daylight beat him to the punch. This is also the Evolve formula, which, God, that game could have been so good if it was.
Could have been. Killed by its own hubris.
Hamstringed by fucking microtransactions.
That son of a bitch. When will he stop?
I don't know.
How can we keep letting him get away with this?
Dude, he might not last that much longer, but we'll get into that later.
So this is a game that's due out next year. My only concern is it is from the Friday the 13th team. Now, I don't know if you know this, David, but that game kind of was more or less canceled when they lost the rights to Friday the 13th. So any future updates they had planned had to immediately get pulled.
Maybe they paid all their dues.
We'll see, but they don't necessarily have a good track record of long-term support. Not that this was necessarily their fault, but it kind of is when you don't secure that shit before you start working on something.
Well, there's also been so many Friday the 13th like films, it's possible that there's just some weird disconnect somewhere.
Like with the rights. Yeah, well, in the 80s,
yeah, like
we've talked about this before. Rights management, like who owned what in the 80s specifically, was a fucking free-for-all. It's the Last Starfighter thing about how Gary Whitta was like, hey, yeah, I want to make another Last Starfighter movie. And he's got like the blessing of the original writer, but one part owns the TV rights and someone else owns the movie rights and someone owns the game rights, and we don't fucking know who owns what. To tie it back to more of a games thing, what was the...
I think he just should make the final Space Fighter and get it over with.
What was that game we were talking about recently that will never see the light of day because we don't know who owns the rights to it?
Good question.
We were talking about it. We tied it into the Harmony Gold bullshit.
I don't remember. Harmony Gold just makes me upset, so I tend to gloss over details.
It wasn't BattleTech. It was, god damn it, what was it? Anyways, if you guys remember, please let us know in the comments down below. But there was a specific game we were talking about how... Oh, Star Control.
Oh, yeah.
We don't know who owns the rights to that because everyone says they own the rights to it. We don't fucking know because agreements were literally written on fucking paper napkins.
And instead of getting 2 new Star Control games, we get like half of one.
Yeah, and maybe none, depending on how that lawsuit goes. So, Predator Hunting Grounds coming out next year to tie it back up. I actually really have a big interest in this, despite my general lack of caring about multiplayer games. I want to get a crew to play this.
Yeah, I'm down.
Also discussed Medieval. That game is finally coming back, a remastered version of that, launching October 25th, 2019, so this year. It is Sir Daniel Fortescue coming back from the dead yet again. This is essentially Sony once again remaking their PlayStation 1 lineup. They did it with Crash, and they did it with Spyro.
Yep.
So I keep seeing this.
It's going to be a game that plays like a game from the 90s,
yep,
but actually looks decent because it's damn hard to go back to PS1 games.
Real hard. I tried doing it with Final Fantasy VII
Any game that you
recently,
remember and love, you should probably leave there because when you fire it up and look at it, it's not going to be what you remember. Unless it's 2D.
This gives me hope, though. these remakes that Sony's doing, because in my brain, that means we might get a Colony Wars reboot.
Ooh. Well, I'm also just excited because of the quality of their like reboot remakes, whatever you want to call them.
Oh yeah, they're not haphazard.
Especially compared to like the Square Enix quality of their fucking re-releases.
Right. No, I totally get it. They're not haphazardly done. They actually look like they look good. They're done very well. My wife's playing Spyro, for example, and that game looks good. It looks fun. Now, it still controls like it did. That's a whole nother bag of snakes, though.
That's what I was talking about, because that was one of the issues with not Spyro, but Crash. Is some of the platforming is early 3D platforming, so it's asinine.
Yeah, it's bad. So Medieval coming out later this year. We also saw Away, the survival series. This is a game I really have no idea what the fuck is going on.
Dude, this game looks rad for no reason other than the fact that you play as a flying squirrel.
Yes, that flying squirrel is known as a sugar glider, because why the fuck wouldn't it be? That's definitely
what that animal's actually called.
Yeah, it is what it is called. It is definitely set in the future in what looks like a post-humanity setting. You got a bunch of overgrown buildings and shit in the background, which that immediately intrigues me. That's one of the reasons why I want to eventually play Moss.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
I have no idea what the hell's going on, though. I don't know
if you run around, you fight stuff, you hide from predators. That was in the trailer.
Yeah, but are you
hiding
eating like bugs and shit
like
too? Are you yourself trying to eat smaller things smaller than you as hiding?
Hell
from
yeah,
bigger
dude!
things?
EVO in 3D. Let's go.
That's what I get from this a little bit. However, that whole survival series, I hear that name and I go, okay, first off, ballsy to assume that your game's going to last more than one game with the term series at the end of it. So already I'm kind of
they don't even need to make it multiple games. It could be, hey, you're playing the game as a sugar glider, and then they release an expansion. Hey, you're playing the game as a panther. You have a whole nother bag of things that kill you and things that don't kill you.
That's my point. I have no idea what this game's about at all. I need more information on what this is. Also, the survival aspect, I'm so wishy-washy with survival games. Some of them are amazing, some of them aren't.
It can be done well, and it can be done poorly, and it just depends on how they manage it.
Right. I'm going to have to walk away with this saying I need more information before I get excited at all. However, I will say it looked beautiful.
Yep.
And I would be surprised. I would not be surprised, rather, to learn that this is not a PlayStation 4 game.
Although, speaking of PlayStation 4s, they also showed off a new limited PS4 console. And while watching the new limited edition PS4 console little reveal trailer, I said, what's different? Until like, the new steel black PS4. And I'm like, oh, okay. It's that one color of that controller they released that's kind of a dark gray. But if you're not paying attention, looks basically the same color.
Yeah, and it has the X circle square triangle embossed.
Yeah, but so I was like, is it really just the state of play, like just the logo on the front? Is that the only difference? It just doesn't say PlayStation. It has just the controller.
I don't know why this thing exists.
I don't either.
I don't
even think it's a Pro. I think it's a regular PS4. And what's the point?
Yeah, exactly. It just looks like a waste of space. But hey, I'm sure that someone somewhere will buy it. They don't just make this shit for no one.
Yep.
At least you would assume they wouldn't. Which brings us to the final part of the state of play.
Something that's not being made for no one, but probably not being made for the people that think they want it.
Right. I'm in that same boat as well. They showed a little bit more of the Final Fantasy VII Remake. What were your first impressions on this thing?
Didn't I watch this trailer already?
I felt the same, because they keep showing the same
Didn't I watch this trailer at PSX 3 fucking years ago?
They keep showing the same fucking first 3 hours of Final Fantasy VII over and over and over again. It's like, yes, we know. You attack a fucking reactor. Yes, you meet Aerith. I get all that. I've seen
What
this.
else you got?
I've seen... It's the train scene. It's the same shit over and over and over again.
Now you hear some people talk.
Yeah, now you hear a couple people talk.
Lance Bass isn't in it.
No, he is not Sephiroth. I fucking hate how they went action RPG with this, by the way.
Here's the funny part. We've had this discussion where Final Fantasy as a franchise died for me as soon as 11 came out. And I haven't touched a single game since. And Dragon Quest wins as the last surviving good RPG series. But while watching this trailer, since it's set in the Final Fantasy VII universe, I wasn't so mad because I was just getting Crisis Core flashbacks. And if you remember, Final Fantasy Crisis Core for the PSP is the offshoot Final Fantasy VII game that's a prequel where you play as Zack, who's like the Shinra soldier whose personality Cloud inherits. I don't fucking know. That game's confusing. And that game was rad. I loved that game. So I kind of hope that it feels like that. I don't know. We'll see.
This just feels like them reusing remnants from Final Fantasy 15 to kind of get their money's worth out of it.
And just skinning it.
Yeah.
They're done making that game, and they're like, I guess we can just keep playing this. And
I did not like how that was. I was like, is it too fucking hard just to give me a shiny turn-based game? Because that's what I want. And that's what I think most people want. And when they actually get a hold of this, they're going to start bitching because it does not play the way they remember it. And to go back to the conversation we had earlier, keep
this isn't for
the PlayStation 1 games in your memory. Because this game, if you actually go back and play through Final Fantasy VII again, you realize just how many warts that game actually fucking has.
Well, like I said, this game isn't for the people who they think it's for. This isn't for fans that love and adore the first game. Some of them will like it, and some of them will love it. A lot of people will probably bounce off. But this is for an entire generation of kids that have existed post Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII came out a really fucking long time ago.
Yep.
There's a whole new batch of people that can play this game. And that's what I think they're going for. This game is famous. Super famous. Everyone knows what happens, but a bunch of people are probably going to play it to see what all the fuss is about. Because they're not going to go back and play the PS1 version. It's impossible.
It's not impossible.
There's kids that love Pokemon that refuse to look at any old Pokemon game because they get confused by what the fuck the pixels are.
Refusing to look at it is different than impossible. Because Final Fantasy VII can be played on every fucking console out there. Because Square didn't find a single machine they refused to port something for.
No, that's fair.
So, they showed the trailer. It was all shit that we've... I mean, it wasn't shit that we've all seen before. I know we're making a joke that we've seen this trailer before.
They showed some more combat. Like I said, people actually talked.
It's just all in that same, first hour. And it's guys, I want to see more of this shit. I'm already, nervous about this.
But we know it's going to be episodic,
release.
And we know that they're not going to have really any more of this.
Yeah.
This isn't going to be disc 1 of Final Fantasy VII. This is going to be, up until, you find or hear the word Genova. That's as far as we're getting.
I'm really bothered by that, too, because they keep only showing this part, which makes me think that this first fucking release is only going to be, 3 hours long, and it's not going to be an RPG. It's going to be an action RPG. It's not going to be your 70 or 80-hour experience that you think you're going to get. I would not be surprised. And
they're going to condense the entire story into a 6 to 8 episode series where you kind of jump around in the story, get condensed, probably get voiceover text to bridge the middle or to get rid of all the slow parts, because there's going to be no overworld. Travel is just going to be a thing. You click on a place and you go there because there's nothing to walk around and fight.
Right.
And yeah, they'll probably cut out a bunch of the clutter and just give you cutscenes.
I do not have hope for this from what I've seen. Now, keep in mind, we're just spitballing here, right? This game could be a full RPG.
Oh, dude, I'm not saying I don't have hope. I'm gonna totally play the shit out of this game.
But that's how I see this going too. Is that it's going to be condensed down to roughly a 15-hour experience.
Perfect.
And people are going to be pissed.
See, I won't, because I don't have time for RPGs anymore.
No, fuck that. Don't remake Final Fantasy VII then. Make something else.
They can do whatever they want.
No, they can't.
Yeah. They actually can, because you in no way contribute to their decision making.
Watch me. I'm going to learn how to code. I'm going to fucking get a job at Square Enix, and I'm going to get put on this team just to prove you wrong.
I will give you whatever's in my wallet.
Don't ever underestimate my ability that I'm willing to reach for spite. So, all that aside, all of my concerns aside, let's talk about a business thing I want to get off my chest, and it's the fact that Square Enix needs to fucking stop talking about this game. They've already announced it way too early, because that's what fucking Square Enix does. Mm-hmm. But at this point, it's fucking stop talking about it. Just go away. We know it exists. Because
until we have legitimately new things to hear about it.
Yeah.
It's here's a little bit more of what we're actively working on. It looks a little bit different than it did before. And we still have no ETA.
Right. And if you have if you don't even have a release year, you shouldn't be fucking talking about what you're making. I feel the same way about CD Projekt Red with their Cyberpunk 2077 thing. They announced that way too early. But at least, in their defense,
they
did
had
come out and say, it'll be done when it's fucking ready.
Yeah,
and you set expectations.
Going crazy. They had that one behind closed doors video, and then they released it to the public, and they basically just gone dark.
Right. We'll see more of that at E3, by the way. A lot more of that. I think we'll get a release date at E3 between you and me.
I'm hopeful.
And people I may or may not know. So let us know what you guys think about this Final Fantasy VII Remake down in the comments below or in chat if you're watching live here at twitch.tv/GamePoints. Let us know if you have hopes for this game, if you think it's going to be amazing, or if you kind of fall into mine and what seems like Dave's category, that this is going to be just a fucking train wreck. I
didn't say it was going to be a train wreck, dude. I'm legitimately excited for this game.
Okay, fair enough.
I said it looks like Crisis Core. Crisis Core is one of my favorite Final Fantasies. Let's go.
I think it looks like Crisis Core.
Yeah, it looks great.
yeah. No, it looks great. All right, yeah, it looks great.
Now just tell me it's going to be on the Switch.
Yeah, that'll make fucking sense, wouldn't it? So, anyways. Let's go ahead and do a hard break to the next topic here. I want you to kind of lead this one if possible, David. This is something that we have been talking about was going to happen for a long while unless they pull their heads out of their asses, and they didn't. So it's coming.
In a rare, very rare GamePoints I told you so moment, this story is from The Hill, which is definitely the place where you want to source video game news.
Yeah, anytime you go to a government-focused site for game news, you know it's going to be fucked up.
In recent news, a GOP senator announces bill to ban manipulative video game design.
Now,
quote from the article.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's this Republican guy named Josh Hawley, whatever the fuck. Senator Josh Hawley,
I believe,
on Wednesday of last week, announced that he will introduce legislation banning manipulative online game features he says can push children to becoming addicted to technology.
Now, the difference between this and when we talked about last time about a person in government talking about this is that gentleman, who I believe his name was Representative Lee, I'm not positive, but he was just a state senator from Hawaii.
Yes.
That's one thing. This is an actual senator in the United States Senate.
Yes.
That's a whole different level of power.
Bigger scale.
Significantly bigger scale.
Anyway, going on. Hawley's Protecting Children from Abusive Games Act.
What a fucking dumb name.
What the fuck, dude?
You might as well call it Won't Someone Think of the Children bill.
It's so pandering. It's just fucking ridiculous.
It's bad.
Would prohibit games geared towards children from implementing features that prompt users to pay real-world money to advance in the game, called pay-to-win, or receive rewards at random for a fee, called loot boxes. Legitimately banning this shit.
Yeah.
We fucking told you so. Social media and video games prey on user addiction, siphoning our kids' attention from the real world and extracting profits from fostering compulsive habits. Hawley, a former GOP Attorney General and one of the most outspoken Republican tech critics, said in a statement.
It's important to mention that statement because that statement's not just, hey, I'm going after loot boxes. That statement portends future. He's attacking tech companies in general.
He doesn't like technology.
No, he doesn't.
He's old man yells at cloud, but this guy's young as fuck.
He's using this as a springboard to further his own pet projects against Facebook and Twitter and everything else, etc. However, I want to mention that as of 2017, GamePoints has been saying this shit's going to happen.
Yep. We warned EA. We warned basically everyone. Hey, guys, if you keep going crazy hard on this fucking pay-to-win loot box bullshit and jamming it down full-price games and getting such crazy backlash and pissing off parents and pissing off kids and pissing off adults that don't like this system, eventually someone big is going to notice, and if the government gets involved and legislation comes into our video games, that's bad for gamers.
Let me just give a giant fuck you, I was right, to EA, Activision, and everyone else was on board with this goddamn microtransaction train when we said, fucking stop, or you're going to get hammered by the government. And then sure enough, here it is.
I used to end this show by saying fuck microtransactions. That was my closing line. At some point, I phased that out, but come on.
All of that aside, what do you think? What do you feel about this as a bill?
I think that this is some bullshit anti-tech garbage being introduced by some guy that's just doing it to be a dick or to further his own agenda. Has nothing to do with saving children. It has nothing to do with helping the industry.
But David, he called it the Protecting Children from Abusive Games Act.
Cool. You can call all your bullshit whatever the fuck you want. I got half a brain. I know what you're doing.
Yeah, if this is he's taking a hot button topic that he thinks gamers will help back because of what's
someone think of the children.
And this is just going to be a wedge to let in more regulation. Now, look at my fucking Twitter handle. You know what my stance on government regulation is. I hate it. The government has done nothing right ever. But this is what happens when companies don't fucking self-regulate. Now, not all people go, companies never self-regulate. Well, they do.
Remember when we got the ASRB? So that the government didn't have to start throwing, video games through the wood chipper?
Yeah, there is a precedent. Shit has been regulated before in the past. However, what's going to happen now is, I think...
And they can't just rely on the ESRB to say, contains paid content. That's not enough. They need to stop being assholes.
That's what I wanted, though. All I wanted was for a game to openly disclose, hey, there's paid content in here. Yes, there are mechanics that could be akin to gambling in here, and these are the drop rates. That's all I personally wanted, because at that point now it's on the consumer to choose if they keep buying or not.
Every drop rate for every game that's got any kind of loot-style box in it to be public. Just fucking look on the game's website.
Right.
It tells you what all the drop rates are.
Even slot machines in Las Vegas have to post the fucking odds.
And remember that even fucking Horizon Zero Dawn has loot boxes. They're just not paid for. There's items you get that you can open that give you some other items. That's a whatever mechanic. It's when you give a company $3, $1, $5, $10, and you get a bunch of random bullshit, most of which is useless, just in the elusive hunt for that one thing, that you can tell there's a problem. I think a while ago we covered an article about a guy who bought, what was it, $300 or $500 worth of Apex loot boxes so he could get the Wraith knife set. And after being asked about it, he said, yeah, that was the worst thing I've ever done.
I don't remember that story, but that
he
sounds
spent
about right.
hundreds of dollars trying to get one specific item from their loot boxes.
And it just never popped up.
And he got it at or around the nearly guaranteed number you would need to hit to get the item.
Still gambling. That's almost like gambling there, David.
Yeah, because it has a number that you are guaranteed to hit on if you manage to bet that much, more or less. That's how the loot box system works, is that if you buy 500 of them, or whatever it was, you're guaranteed to get that item. That's just checking boxes. There's a chance you can get it beforehand, but you're probably not, and that's what this guy, he got to if it's 500, say he got to 498, and that's when he got it.
God damn, I hate that shit so much. But yes, we have finally at the point now where you're starting to have government legislators stepping in. Now, do I think this is going to pass? No way in hell. Because let's face it, this is America, and there's not a business America didn't love and take the side of over everyone else. But this shit is just going to get more and more popular, and you're going to have more and more people talking about it until something eventually does get passed.
Until you get a scientist that's been discredited who says something about how loot boxes are poisoning the kids, and then some mom on Facebook shares it, and then it becomes this huge big thing, and then there's entire states that are just like, loot boxes and video games are bad, and then there's
fucking
outbreak.
loot box. I was about to say there's loot box outbreaks at Kaiser and shit.
Yeah,
kids dying from loot boxes. Because the
a dead kid is worse than a kid that plays video games.
The anti-non-loot box moms are going around insisting their children open up all these loot boxes and go to loot box parties where other children with loot boxes get together and just transfer the loot boxes back and forth between each other.
Oh, man.
God, we went off on something there. Vaccinate your kids, you stupid fucks. All right, let's go ahead and jump to the next topic here. Another hard.
Dude, wait! This is a great break point in our conversation.
Shut up! No, refuse to allow that.
But we're GamePoints, and this is a break point.
Ghost Recon Breakpoint was announced last week, and we have a few extra details. You can find the video, of course, links to that, and all of our stories will be provided in the description down below.
Turns out we can't play videos because then our videos get pulled because sometimes we talk about.
I have to
Nintendo
deal
and they
with
hate
copyright
everything.
bullshit, and they're like, "Oh, we're monetizing this video." Blah 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 blah. So if you've been
We
wondering
don't
why I
even
don't
make
show
any
anything in
fucking
the
money on
background,
it. Why are
that's
you guys
why.
making money on it?
Exactly. Ghost Recon Breakpoint, the follow-up to Ghost Recon Wildlands, coming October 4th. It stars the fucking Punisher, John Bernthal, as the bad guy.
Not
Now,
my Punisher.
This is one of those things that was not so... What did you say?
I said not my Punisher.
Oh, you're a Tom Jane guy? Fair enough.
Tom Jane!
This was one of those things where I saw and I wasn't surprised at all, because in recent DLC for Wildlands, as in like a couple months ago, or a couple weeks ago rather, they had this thing called Operation Oracle, and John Bernthal was in it as a ghost who gets really salty over how his team gets treated. So I remember seeing that going, I bet he's going to be the fucking bad guy in the next one, because you don't hire a famous actor to come in and do like a one-off DLC bit role. And then sure enough, at the end of this trailer, spoilers, it turns out that he and his team of ghosts went renegade and they're fighting you on this. So I'm super into that, actually, because that means that they have like even better tech than you do. And Ghost Recon, the advantage has always been you can just outgear them. Mm-hmm. But now you're fighting people who have like the same tech level, if not advanced. Looking forward to that. I like the premise of it. I love that reveal of the trailer, by the way. But it's going to be set in a Pacific archipelago of a made-up country this time called Aurora, unlike last time, which was in Bolivia and caused some headaches in South America, where they're saying, how dare you set this country in Bolivia? And then you had a couple articles coming out about like how it's white nationalism, colonialism and shit, and people they're like, fuck off, we're just not going to deal with that anymore, which is why we can't have nice things, David.
Yeah,
because everyone's got to be fucking get their fifis and heard about something. So
I'm out all the time.
Yeah, that's the secret. Essentially, in this South Pacific island chain, or this Pacific island chain, there is an Elon Musk character who was making this massive research and development firm out there. It gets taken over, the ghosts get sent in, their plane gets shot down, and there's only one left. That's a big departure from Wildlands, because in Wildlands you had like your 3 AI buddies helping you, so you're always like with 4 people. Here it's just 1. Now, you could still have co-op. They have said, hey, up to 4-player co-op. You're just not going to have 3 AI teammates during single player if you don't want to play for other people. And additionally, they also have a raid coming too, and I have no idea how that's going to work.
I don't know either, but this game looks tight.
It does. I am super excited for it. It looks cool. I liked Wildlands. I liked playing Wildlands, I should say. The story to Wildlands is fucking dumb. In fact, there really isn't any story. It's just kind of there as an excuse to go blow shit up. But hey, I like blowing shit up, so I'm looking forward to it.
I think my favorite part is the next thing, though, about this game.
All the survival limits they threw in there. So, unlike the past Ghost Recon, since you're kind of out alone and you're no supplies, no support, or anything like that, there is supposed to be a, quote, palpable visceral stress and anxiety of being alone in a hostile environment and needing to rely on your surroundings to procure food, water, ammo, weapons, and equipment. That sounds a hell of a lot like Metal Gear Solid 3 to me.
I can't wait to eat a snake. I'm going to listen to Snake Eater on a loop while I play this game.
If you get hurt, you have to take care of bullet wounds. You might have abilities restricted, like you
bleeding,
can't
get
mantle
some
over
bandages.
things. There's a camo system involved where you cover yourself in mud and twigs a la Predator, and that sounds a lot like Metal Gear Solid 3. It sounds like they're taking a lot of Metal Gear Solid 3's ideas and putting them into this game. The question is, David.
Yes.
How greatly
Will I play
is that
with friends?
Well, maybe. But the bigger question is, how is this really going to affect overall gameplay? Because while all this shit was cool in Metal Gear Solid 3, by the time I was like a quarter of the way through that game, I stopped caring about any of it. Because it really wasn't that impactful. It was just there.
It's immersion for immersion's sake. Just let it happen.
Well, sometimes immersion for immersion's sake isn't good. If you're throwing in all this extra shit into a game and I'm just going to ignore it all, that's not really immersion. That's just busy work.
You enjoyed that game different than I enjoyed that game. I thought it was rad.
I'm not saying it's not rad. What I'm saying is, will this actually have a purpose?
Probably.
Because, well, we'll see. That's the question.
I'm assuming if you go into a fight tired and wet and dirty and injured, you're going to get your ass beat. Whereas if you rest up and eat properly and move slowly, then hey, guess what? You can actually win.
It's a fine line.
You talked about the fact that in the other games you had the technology advantage, and so you could win fights. This one, you're evenly matched or at a disadvantage, so maybe now you just need to be better fit for the battle.
And it's a fine line.
Take the technology away, and all you got left is the humans.
It's a fine line between, here are some survival mechanics to help tilt the edge, and here is a checklist of bullshit you have to go through before every fight, or else it's just, you're not going to be able to survive. You have to walk that really thin razor's edge between this is useless and this is cumbersome. And I don't know if Ubisoft can do it. Exactly. I don't know if Ubisoft can do it. Because as much as I'll say it, I love the new Ubisoft. I like all their games. I like the new Assassin's Creed to varying degrees. I like Far Cry's. I like the new Far Cry's to varying degrees. I liked Watch Dogs 2 a lot. I even liked Wildlands. However, a lot of their games are starting to feel more and more identical to each other.
Gotcha. They're all moving towards one mega game.
With that familiarity between games breeds contempt. And I'm starting to see the same fucking thing over and over and over again. It's getting really monotonous. And I'm afraid...
like the reskin feel?
I'm afraid that when they put in these survival mechanics, I don't think they're going to do a good job. Because my gut tells me they're going to kind of make them for the lowest common denominator. So they can spread them easily to the other games. And if you design a survival game with the lowest common denominator, you don't get good survival mechanics. You get boring-ass checklists that you have to go through and take care of before every fight.
I gotcha. I got to eat the thing. I got to take the medicine. I got to do this and this and this and this. And, I'm out. Okay, so I got to go back to the base, and I got to buy this thing. And then I got to take this thing. Okay, now I can fight.
Right. I'm concerned that is what's going to happen here. But we'll see. I don't have any inside knowledge on Breakpoint yet. I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to play this within the next couple months or so, because Ubisoft tends to be very cool about inviting me to their stuff, but we'll see how that shakes out.
All I know is the line where it talks about when you're playing co-op, an injured ally can leave the team vulnerable, need to be carried to a safe location, like behind cover or away from the battle, but the mechanic also applies to fallen enemies, who you can now carry out of sight to avoid hostile detection and preserve your stealthy approach. That sounds like Metal Gear.
It really does sound like they're going Metal Gear Solid 3 with this, which could be amazing.
But it also sounds remarkably like the newest Assassin's Creed. And guess what? I killed this guy. Hey, guess what? I threw him in a bush. Now I'm going to wait here. I'm going to kill the next guy. I'm going to throw him in the same bush. I can have 12 dead guys in this little bush, and it's going to be great.
We'll see how it shakes out as it comes later. Coming quick, too. October, I believe. October 4th. I also like this trend that Ubisoft has now of going, we announce a game, it comes out 6 months from now. Square Enix, fucking learn from these people when it comes to announcing your shit. Please. David, let's move on to an update from a story last week that we were talking about.
Let's move on to this story that just keeps on giving.
This is via Newsweek. Now, if you recall, those who watched the show, last week we talked about allegations that were made by David Eddings against Randy Pitchford about the Borderlands claptrap fiasco. Was he offered a chance to come back to voice him or not? Was he being paid for it or not? That stuff aside, there was one thing that stuck out that kind of made me go, okay, we need more information on this shit. And that was Eddings claiming that Pitchford assaulted him back at GDC 2017. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I said we need more information on it is because we have diluted what assault means down to a ridiculous level. Because I hear assault, and I would imagine most people hear assault, they think punching, fists flying, like I beat the shit out of you. Isn't that what you think of when you say someone assaulted me?
Yeah. It's,
however,
attacks with the intention of doing bodily harms is how I picture it.
However,
trying to hurt someone is assault.
Legally, throwing water on someone is considered assault. And we know how people fucking deliberately manipulate words to make them look worse than they actually are.
Because I think the definition legally is just actions made against another with malicious intent.
Yeah, I'm not a lawyer, but I can't test that. That sounds about right.
No, it's just something super vague like that.
So, we finally got some more details. In an exclusive interview with Newsweek, Eddings says that Pitchford bullied him, and a confrontation at GDC 2017 turned physical before he was, quote, rage-fired. Which answers another question, because for the longest time, we was like, well, was he fired or did he leave? We never really was able to figure out what happened there. Well, apparently he was rage-fired. So, a couple quotes from this Newsweek article. Eddings says that the two had a complicated relationship and that Gearbox employees constantly shifted priorities to meet the whims of Pitchford, a CEO who Eddings says delights in pulling on professional pranks. For example, Eddings had lost his voice performing as Claptrap at a gaming convention in February 2017, but Pitchford wanted him to perform again for a studio tour for former 2K president Christopher Hartman later that month. The day of the tour, Eddings waited the sound booth for Pitchford to text them the signal to begin. Then, Randy had gone into the booth, yanked my cans off, and stuck a wet finger in the air that he licked, Eddings claimed. He jumped back and cackled at me. Christoph and I were just looking at each other like, what just happened? Okay, that's some childish-ass shit.
Mm-hmm.
But him talking about that in a story sounds like high school gossip shit. It's like, okay, cool. He's a man-child. We already knew Randy Pitchford was a fucking man-child.
Yeah, that's pretty apparent.
This isn't magic. This isn't newsworthy. It's not. It's like, okay, sure. Pitchford's a fucking asshole. There's no newsworthy here. This is him slinging shit to make someone look worse than they already do. And that's fine. But, okay, he gave you a wet willy. You were literally crying about it to Newsweek.
So technically, your boss probably shouldn't give you a wet willy.
No, Randy Pitchford should not be giving people wet willies. I totally accept that.
That is definitely grounds for an HR complaint. That is not grounds for a front page Newsweek story.
Moving on to the assault. While at GD 2017, Eddings confronted Pitchford about someone buying out Gearbox. Pitchford got visibly angry, started shouting, and then things quickly escalated from there. He shoved the fuck out of me while I was on the balls of my feet trying to whisper. He knocked me back 4 steps. I believe I caught him in a deception, Eddings said. He shared images with Newsweek that he claims were taken shortly after the altercation that appeared to show minor bruising on his ribs. He shoved him. That's the assault. Mm-hmm. Does that meet your definition of assault? I don't mean the legal definition. I mean your definition.
Not really.
Shoving
somebody, I don't...
Let's put it this way. If someone come up to you and shoved
trying
you...
to injure somebody.
Yeah.
Shoving somebody is trying to start a fight.
Yeah. Now, if someone walked up to you and shoved you, would you go home and tell your wife that someone assaulted you?
No.
I wouldn't
would
either.
assume they're trying to start a fight.
That's why I say assault in quotes. Now, once again...
Now, I do believe that some people will shove somebody in an attempt to get a violent reaction, which then means they could hit somebody.
Yeah.
Because they say, I was just defending myself.
Eddings claims at least 2 people witnessed the incident, Mario Kroll and Gearbox co-founder Landon Montgomery. Kroll won't verify the story or can't verify the story, but Montgomery does support Eddings' story, saying, yeah, this happened. Here's the thing. Eddings didn't say he was shoved. He said he was assaulted. Mm-hmm. And this is that fucking mealy-mouthed weasel word shit that I hate, because it reminds me of the other charge against Pitchford back when his lawyer said, oh, he had underage pornography on that stick. Well, what do you think of when you hear underage pornography? You think of, like, child porn, right?
Mm-hmm.
But notice how in that brief he said underage in quotes, which to me, we've talked about, that could be like 19. Someone who's 40 might go, oh, that's an underage pornography. It's this... Pitchford's actions speak for themselves. He is a fucking asshole. He does more damage to the Gearbox brand than any number of Colonial Marines releases. Randy Pitchford is fucking toxic for that company. He is a dick. We do not need to exaggerate his fucking stories to make him seem even more outlandish. When you do that, when you blow minute shit, and I'm not even saying this is necessarily minute, but it's not fucking assault when we think of assault. When you blow these things out of proportion, it gives Pitchford, who has a victim complex to begin with, more ammunition, and it gives him a benefit of the doubt because people are making shit up or exaggerating what happened. It's like, guys, you're all fucking man-children. Stop. Eddings could have just said, instead of assaulted, yeah, he shoved me. Hard enough to where it left bruises. Okay. Case closed. Randy Pitchford's a fucking asshole. And then you say he rage-fired him a couple days ago. But when you use terms like he assaulted me, okay, well, what's assault? Did he punch you? No. Okay, did he hit you with left? No. Did he slap you? No. What did he do? He shoved me.
I got bruises on my ribs, though, probably.
Do you know how easy it is to bruise someone? not to defend bruising someone. I don't.
It's like a really weird. You know how easy it is to bruise someone?
I don't want to defend bruising someone. But I mean,
about?
you can get bruised very easily from like this. Like all it has to do is hit you in the right spot, very, very gently, and it can cause a bruise.
Sounds like you got weak skin, son.
He might. There are people who do have weak skin. That's why, like even Newsweek's like it appears to have minor bruising. Well, what's minor? A slight discoloration? Once again, I'm not saying that Pitchford should have shoved the guy. What I'm saying is the term assault, while might be legally correct, is not what people think of. And Eddings chooses these fucking words deliberately to make things sound worse than they are. Remember when he fucking vague tweeted, "It's true," about the child porn allegations, which themselves were fucking exaggerated to make them sound worse than they are.
This all goes back to the fact that there's two guys who are, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say they're both assholes, and they had a falling out, and now it's just live on Twitter all the time, and it's becoming news, and it's all just kind of taking the conversation away from Borderlands 3, which sucks a bit for, you know, the entire rest of Gearbox that isn't Randy Pitchford.
Right.
Because now no one is going to be able to look this game up without finding one of these damn articles.
Exactly. So, to sum up, I am not defending Randy Pitchford. That motherfucker seems like an asshole who is doing significant harm to the Gearbox brand. Plus, I personally feel like he fucking lied directly to people's faces about Colonial Marines, but that's a story from multiple years ago. That said, this is like when people say the most outlandish shit about Trump or Obama. It's like you don't need to make shit up to point to bad things they have done. Just point to the bad shit they have done, and it speaks for itself. When you make shit up, or when you try to exaggerate shit, all it does is make the other person look better.
Yeah, it's weird. They're just kids, and they don't have a playground.
Exactly. It's a bunch of fucking man babies crying about each other on Twitter, trying to get the respect of fan base. I fucking hate it. This is childish. Pitchford needs to go away. Eddings needs to fucking stop crying about, oh, he assaulted me. It's like, no, he pushed you. Yes, technically that's assault, but fucking man up. Just say, he shoved me and didn't pay me for Claptrap. Done. The argument is yours. Congratulations. You have won.
Either that or it's going to end like a 90s TV show with them yelling at each other in E3 until they start violently making out.
God, I would love to see that.
This whole thing is just an awkward case of sexual tension.
Let us know what you think about Randy Pitchford, David Eddings, whatever the fuck his lawyer's name is. I can't remember anymore. That said he had child porn on his, or underage pornography. That's the shit I'm talking about. You hear underage, it's just, if you're in the right, you don't have to make shit up. Because it just makes your argument weaker. I hate that about online discourse these days. It's never just, yes, this person fucked me. It's, this person fucked me and I think he kills children and eats them and buries their body in the backyard. It's like, dude, you won it. He fucked you. You've won. All right. Let's move on to these last two stories real quick. Dave, why don't you lead us off on this one?
It's been fun. This story is from IGN, which is a place that actually talks about video games, as opposed to some of the shit we talk about. Bethesda has announced that they're investigating claims of plagiarism related to a marketing initiative for the upcoming Elder Scrolls Online expansion Elsewhere. This is where the Khajiit live, and it's spelled real funny, and it turns out it's super 90s sounding, and I like the fact that people are mad about it, but they're like too young to know where it's from. This is some stupid-ass made-up bullshit. Why they got this crazy name? Because it's been the name of that place since Daggerfall. Like, get over yourself.
Yeah.
In an effort to promote the new Elder Scrolls Online update, Bethesda's Netherlands studio... Netherlands? I said Neverland. That's not studio. The right thing. Sorry. Published an unnamed ESO-themed tabletop RPG adventure based on the rules for the 5th edition of Wizard of the Coast Dungeons & Dragons. However, it was more than just some basic rules that the studio appeared to copy. It was almost an entire adventure from 2016.
Have you seen the comparisons between the two?
No, not. I like kind of glanced over it, but I didn't get really deep into it.
So when they say copy, they mean like word for word copy. Like the module, which was known as the Black Road by Ben Hauser and Paige Littman, will say things like, I'm just paraphrasing here. It'll be like, you're traveling to 4 caravans. The first wagon has like your supplies. The second wagon has the gold. The third wagon has a very important person. You go look at the elsewhere the Bethesda module they made. And it says you're traveling the caravan of 4 wagons. The first one has supplies. The second one has gold. And the third one's carrying a very important Khajiit.
Oh, yeah.
They copy and pasted, but just changed the nouns around. Additionally, there was someone in the Black Roads campaign by the name of... It was like a really weird fantasy name. It's like Corwin Longshaft or something like that. So, like, not a common name. They kept that exact same name for an NPC in the Elsewhere campaign.
It's great.
So they literally just copied and pasted.
Why not? No, who's going to remember 2016? That was so long ago. It's not like you couldn't just grab a module from, like, the 80s, and then someone's like, oh, look at this sweet 80s D&D homage that they made. People would probably celebrate it if it was a 30-year-old module.
How
it came out 3 fucking years ago.
How can people fucking think they can get away with this in an age where everything is fucking processed online, run through 1,000 different eyeballs, and if you have even the slightest mistake, someone is going to call you on your bullshit for a drop of clout? Like, how? How do you think you can get away with this? It's like the fucking, we're talking about IGN, the Philip Moosen thing. You know, that's the guy who was fucking just plagiarizing from various reviews. How do you think you can get away with this?
It's ridiculous. It's so funny.
So, this really took a turn when Lightman saw, one of the authors of the module, saw his shit being ripped off and actually went on a Twitter post about how he's like, what was it, quote, it's a surreal day when a top-tier gaming company steals your shit.
Oh, here you go. There's that character's name, Chandra Stoll.
Yeah.
This is directly from the Black Road module book. Chandra Stoll, a priestess in Parnost, has offered whoever delivers the statue 50 gold, payable upon arrival in Parnost. From the Elder Scrolls Netherlands adventure, Chandra Stoll, a priest in Rinman, will pay you when the statue arrives in one piece. It's like... it's the same fucking thing with less words.
How?
It's so funny. Caravan leaves in 4 hours. Azam is anxious to get on the road soon. The caravan leaves in 4 hours, and I'm looking forward to leaving. Like, this shit is so great.
It is truly egregious how bad that is. Since all this came out, of course, Bethesda has announced both on Twitter and Facebook profiles that they have pulled the previously shared ESO laptop RPG adventure while we investigate the source. That's legal speak for saying, yeah, we fucked up, and please don't sue us.
Yep. They probably just handed it out to an like a fucking intern that says, hey, you guys need to write the storyline, and they were like in a D&D campaign, like, what the fuck, we don't want to deal with this, and then they just used their D&D campaign.
Final news story of the day, David. We're going to go to GameIndustry.biz for this one. And this is an update to something we've been talking about for months now, and that Starbreeze is officially fucked.
Starbreeze is seeking funding to avoid imminent liquidity shortfall, which is fancy business speak for fucked.
We ain't got no money, is what that means.
I like that. Liquidity shortfall. That's what I'm going to do next time I go to, like, Carl's Jr. and I try and get a cheeseburger, and they're like, that'll be $4. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm having a bit of a liquidity shortfall. Will you take $1.25?
The only paragraph in this article you need to focus on is this one right here. Starbreeze has been in reconstruction since the start of December 2018. If you recall, that's when all the shit started going horribly wrong.
Yes.
But time to regain stability appears to be running out. In its Q1 report, the company said that it does not have enough money to last another 12 months, and it anticipates a liquidity shortfall in the middle of this year if another source of funds can't be located. So that's not just 12 months. That is, we gotta start fucking cutting shit to stay solvent if we don't find more people investing money. Mm-hmm. This company's fucked. This company is going under. There was a bit of an update, like, an hour and a half ago that Microsoft bought a studio from them for like $7.4 million. So that's some money coming in. But this is a studio that Starbreeze bought back in 2017 for like $8.9 million.
Yeah.
So they getting stuff for a song, and they're selling stuff at a loss. That's how desperate Starbreeze is to stay open.
Yep, and a lot of this is due to the Walking Dead game. Which,
it's all due to the Walking Dead game.
That game was
bad.
not as good as it should have been.
No, it was
not
bad.
Even close. Could have been awesome. Instead, they just made it Payday with some zombies thrown in, and take away all the fun mechanics.
It was so bad that
a horde shooter against people that are shooting you. It's literally the same goddamn game.
It was so bad that Skybound actually disavowed it for the most part. They're like, they fucked up this game and we're out.
Yeah, they pulled the licensing agreement, which then made the game was pulled from Steam, and the console version, which hadn't been released yet, was completely canceled.
Wait, is this game actually pulled from Steam?
Yeah. You can't play Walking Dead anymore.
I didn't know that.
Unless I think if you own it, you can play it, but you can't buy it.
Overkill's The Walking Dead. Well, it looks like I can still get it on Steam.
Really? I thought it was pulled. I thought it was pulled as part of the licensing agreement pool. I thought I remember reading that.
I can buy the DLC, but I'm not seeing
buy
the
the
base
main game, right?
anywhere. Yeah.
There it is, yeah.
Wow. They're selling the DLC, but it says you need to buy the base game. Buy the Walking Dead upgrade. Wow. Wow. Yeah. That's hilarious. They could sell the DLC, but the base game isn't on there that I'm seeing.
Yep. And the game only made like $3 million, which is far less than they spent on making it. I think that's probably about what they paid for the license.
Let's be honest, Starbreeze doesn't last in 12 months. They last in 6 months, if that. Because once that liquidity shortfall kicks in, people ain't getting paid anymore. This company's gone.
Yep.
That we're just watching the slow death spiral of the company, which sucks because Payday was good, The Darkness was good, that Escape from Butcher Bay game was good, and it's just
their only hope
to see this going away.
Is the mobile Payday game, which
no,
that's not it's not a good thing to rest your hope on.
It's bad, but it is what it is when you make shitty business decisions. I say let it fall. I know that's kind of callous of me, but I'm not a believer of too big to fail at all. But either way, David, the death of Starbreeze is still going to take a couple more months. We're not going to be able to see it anytime soon. So,
damn, that's the most tragic transition we've had.
As we wait to watch the last flicker of light slip from the eyes of Starbreeze and that giant sun logo that they have, what can we play to keep entertained until then?
All right. Well, that was harrowing. Well, since we're already running long, I'm going to shorten this shit up, and we're going to talk about some games. I'm going to tell you what kind of game it is, and your ass can look it up. So, coming out this week for PC, we've got Thea 2, The Shattering. This game is confusing as fuck. It is a strategy survival RPG, but I think it's also a card game. It also looks like a 4X game. I don't know what is happening. Someone else please tell me. Sniper Elite V2 Remastered hits PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. This is the World War II sniper action game that came out a few years ago. It's got the slow-down, violent, Mortal Kombat-style X-ray kills when you shoot people in the face, and it's only $10. And as far as I know, the Sniper Elite games are very fun if you like shooting people in the face from far away. A Plague Tale Innocence for PS4, Xbox One, and PC is a action adventure kind of stealth medieval game. It's a grim tale of a sister and her brother and a journey through the darkest hours of history. It's
set during the 1300s. You're trying to escape the Black Death. There's a bunch
we don't got
of
time for
rats
that. It's set in a spooky time. You try and live. Rage 2.
I do want to say I was given a copy of this to play. I will be streaming this particular game later this week.
Plague Tale?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you should instead play Rage 2, because, hey, look, it's that new Rage game that legitimately looks fun because it's made by a cooperation between Avalanche Studios, the guys that made Mad Max, a game I really enjoyed, and id Software, who make Doom, and that game has some real good shooting. And look, this is a first-person shooter that's got some cars in it. It's bright pink. It looks fun. Undead Horde hits PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. Yeah, dude. Action indie game. You play as a necromancer. You raise the dead. It's a necromantic action game with some like strategy RPG hack and slash. Think of Overlord, but as a necromancer in a more RPG fashion.
That sounds cool, and it's probably necromantic instead of necromantic, because necromantic implies something very different.
My bad. I don't know. Quar Infernal Machines is a VR turn-based strategy game for the PlayStation VR, and we got to talk about those games because they still exist and it's important. Darkwood hits PS4, Switch, and Xbox One. This game came out on PC a while ago. I actually think this game is rad.
Yeah,
it's a top-down survival horror game. You're like walking around in a very spooky place. You got a flashlight. Things come out of the ground and kill you, and then you hide in the nighttime, and it's great. Bubsy Paws on Fire hits PS4 and PC. Now this is cool because it's a new Bubsy game, but not how you anticipate, because this is actually coming from the developers of the Bit Trip Runner games. So this is a Bubsy game that's set as a runner, but with Bubsy in it.
Daedalus back and in POG form.
And why not? Daedalus: The Awakening of Golden Jazz is a great video game title, by the way. PS4, Switch, and PC. It's a crime thriller, looks like an adventure visual novel style game. If you are into engrossing story, maybe that's for you. I'm not 100% if it has anything crazy, because the trailer just mostly makes you think of visual novel games, which can be pretty cool sometimes. Surviving Mars Green Planet is a expansion to Surviving Mars, which is a game on PC, and you need the base game in order to play it. I did not look it up at all.
Well done, David.
Yeah, no problem. Castlevania Anniversary Collection, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. This game has the original Castlevania, Castlevania 2, Belmont's Revenge, Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse, and Super Castlevania 4. At a slightly later date, because that's how these collections are working, we'll be getting Castlevania The Adventure, Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest, Castlevania Bloodlines, and Kid Dracula.
Wait, are you saying the entire collection isn't out for day one?
I think it's working like the SNK collection, where the games are like free DLC.
I don't like
here's
that.
A bunch of games, and then you get some other games.
I don't like that at all.
It's only $20. Live your dreams. Dragon's Lair Trilogy comes out for Xbox One. Dragon's Lair is a old adventure game that you probably played, because that's the kind of shit you did back in the day.
I was not a fan of Dragon's Lair.
Oh, well, you play as Dirk the Daring, who's a valiant knight on a quest to rescue the fair princess from the clutches of an evil dragon, and it is far less serious than that tagline would have you believe.
Yes, it's very silly.
And finally, rounding it out, we have the Guilty Gear 20th Anniversary Pack coming out for Switch, which you think the Guilty Gear Anniversary Pack would be like, oh man, this is going to be a shit ton of Guilty Gear games, right? Because Guilty Gear started back in the day in 1998 on PlayStation with a super rad game, and then there's new ones and all these other weird ones. This, I'm pretty sure, is the oldest one and one of the newest ones, and that's the collection. It comes with Guilty Gear and Guilty Gear XX Accent Core plus R, because Jesus Christ, these guys have gone to the Square Enix school of naming video game sequels. I have no idea which Guilty game is which, because they dropped numbers so long ago. Everything just sounds ridiculous, but it doesn't stop these games from being wicked fun. And I think that's it, really.
Thank you, David. That, of course,
and a shit ton of shovelware to Nintendo Switch, as always.
Yeah, which we never mentioned. That wraps up New Release for the Week, which means that also wraps up the show. Salty Frank, thank you for showing up at the very end of the show. Yes, I have to agree. How is a couple games considered a collection? It's not. It's not games.
It's not a collection. They do not announce it as a collection. They don't state it's a collection. It is a anniversary pack.
Yes. That's...
And that makes it different.
I guess that makes a difference. Either way, something that could pop. That's future GamePoints' problem as we wrap up the show tonight. This has been GamePoints episode 174. Thank you all for showing up and lurking around in chat. We do stream Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time right here at Twitch TV/GamePoints. If you want to show up live and join the conversation like so many of you normally do, Salty Frank included, thank you for dropping by. If you can't, however, totally understandable, catch us at our YouTube channel, youtube.com/GamePointsPC, where we put up all the old shows as well as the random review, random rant I might go on, etc. Sometimes a Let's Play. Tune into this channel later in the week to see some Plague Tale Innocence, likely Rage 2, maybe get back to some Borderlands as well, whatever I have to feel like streaming. And of course, you can know when I go live by following that button you see somewhere up there if you're watching us on Twitch. Regardless of where you're watching us, however, if you want to support the channel, like, follow, subscribe, throw bits at. If you're sitting on an Amazon Prime and Twitch Prime account, feel free to use that here. But if you don't use it here, please use it somewhere. It does go to waste if you don't. And Jeff Bezos then sits on your money and snorts cocaine off of hookers. And we don't want that. We don't want to support his coke habit. So give us your money instead of him.
Or he's going to use it for a space race against old Muskie.
He's going to lose that. You can follow the show on Twitter at GamePointsPC. You can follow myself, Stephen Brown, at CapitalistPig21. And you can follow David there at Palstrife_Satori. Once again, this has been GamePoints episode 174. Thank you for showing up. And until next time, we're out of here.